terrible day in the stock market, it's always nice to see a recently downtrodden stock catch fire, especially when that stock belongs to a high-quality company like Constellation Brands, STZ. After years of phenomenal outperformance, the stock had started to lag over the past few months. Constellation, the beer, wine, and liquor company you probably know as Corona and Modelo, fell out of favor at the Wall Street Fashion Show, in part because the rest of the beer business seemed to be slowing, and in part because they made a couple of major investments in Canopy Growth. That's the best of the Canadian cannabis companies. A lot of people thought Constellation's embrace of the budding marijuana business as a sign that something was wrong in the alcohol side of things. Turns out that couldn't be further from the truth. This morning, Constellation delivered a beautiful quarter, and it's a beat and raise. Corona, Modelo growing at a 10% clip. In response, the stock surged more than $11 or 5.5%. Remember, it's on a really bad day for the market. I wouldn't be surprised if it had more room to run. Don't take it from me. Let's dig deeper with Rob Sands, the CEO of Constellation Brands, to learn more about the quarter and where his company's headed. Mr. Sands, welcome back to Mad Money.
Thanks, Jim.
Okay, so Rob, I listened to packaged good company after packaged good company. They're thrilled with 3, 4, 5% growth. How are you able to have double-digit growth in a category that is not doing well in a group that has almost no growth?
Well, it's really all about the subcategories that we participate in, Jim. So we participate strictly in imported high-end Mexican beer. Contrary to the performance of the rest of the category, due to a lot to demographic trends and really the strength of our brand, this segment of the business has been a very robust part of the business from a growth point of view. And we, of course, have been leading that growth.
But you've also introduced a new beer that is red hot, Premier. Also, some of your older brands like Pacifico, Victoria. These are brands that have been around. They're growing double digit. I don't even know where these customers are coming from for this.
Yeah, well, you know, these are brands that have a traditional following in Mexico. Victoria is one of the biggest brands in Mexico, for instance, and therefore it's gained a lot of popularity, especially with the Hispanic demographic in the United States. Pacifico is a brand that has really taken off in Southern California and now is expanding throughout the rest of the country. So we've got a great portfolio of brands. We've got some very strong growth drivers. We've got great NPD, as you mentioned, with Corona Premier, which is our low-calorie, low-carbohydrate version of Corona, and Familiar, which is a very sort of traditional and retro package that is very popular in Mexico and has now become very popular in the United States. We also have, you know, a very strong wine portfolio with our premium brands. It's another segment that has very strong growth from a consumer products point of view, high single-digit growth. And we have some of the leading brands in that category with brands like The Prisoner and Meiomi and Kim Crawford. You know, these are all stalwarts when it comes to growth.
Well, there were two things that told me that the narrative about your company is very wrong. One is that incredible numbers. Two, you bought 1.9 million shares of common stock during this downturn. It's a $404 million purchase. Obviously, that shows the great faith.
Yeah, in actuality, during the first half of the year, we bought $500 million, $400 million in the last quarter approximately. And, yeah, we have a lot of confidence in the business. The first quarter, you know, we told everybody what was going to happen in the first quarter in that we front-loaded our marketing, especially for our beer new products, our NPD, Premier, and Familiar. And so we expected to have a relatively muted first quarter. And those investments in the first quarter paid off pretty much exactly as we expected, if not better. You know, you look at our NPD, again, Premier, Familiar primarily, the incrementality on that is well over 75%, which for line extensions is almost unheard of in consumer products.
Well, because we know you're doing well in that, it's obvious that you're taking the offense, not defense, when it comes to cannabis. In your one of your presentations, Cannabis, once a century disruptive market transition. You have put more money in this category than all the companies combined, and you're actually talking in this conference call that this is the future's now for these products.
Well, absolutely. The future is now. Look, I said a couple of things that I think are important. And you said it. Number one, we're playing offense, not defense. This has nothing to do with the core business or defending against the potential cannibalization of beverage alcohol by cannabis. There's really no evidence of that. And our core business, as we've demonstrated in the first half of the year and this quarter, is stronger than ever. And really what we're trying to do is take advantage of our strong position, our growth, and invest in an aligned category, which we think is the incrementality will be 100% and is truly a new frontier of a category that will be at least a couple of $100 billion globally over the next 10 or 15 years. We also have invested in the largest producer of cannabis in the world with a leading brands and organization that, I think will certainly be a leader in the industry going forward. So we couldn't be more excited about our Canopy investment.
All right, so my partner David Faber this morning says, well, what happens? You go get a CBD can of whatever? Is it water with CBD? Is it tasting? Is it mixed with? Why don't you tell us what we'll be able to do with a CBD something or other if we go to a bar or we go to a convenience store?
Yeah, so first of all, most likely the products that will be produced as it relates to beverages will be non-alcoholic beverages. There may be a beer analog, there may be a champagne analog, there may be a spirits analog, there may be a water analog, a tea analog, et cetera, all containing some version of cannabis. CBD, interestingly enough, is the non-psychoactive component in cannabis, which we expect to become legalized potentially as soon as shortly after this election, because there's a provision in the Farm Bill that will actually legalize CBD, the non-psychoactive component. And I think you'll see a lot of beverages introduced, probably non-alcoholic, or in, I would say, most cases non-alcoholic, to take advantage of at least the CBD legalization. THC containing cannabis, that's going to be some time off, but I would say that the political front is developing very quickly there, and I think that in the United States, we believe that it's an inevitability that cannabis will be decriminalized at the federal level. And as we already know, a lot of states have legalized it recreationally. The majority of states have legalized it, at least for medical. And, there's a number of states that have recreational legalization on the bill this November. And there's quite a number of states that have medical marijuana legalization on the bill as well. So it's moving fast. Also, I think you shouldn't lose sight of the international opportunity. Right. There's huge countries. UK is looking at medical legalization. Germany has already legalized medical marijuana. These are all places, given our Canopy investment, that we can play in. We think it's important to be able to play in all channels and in all segments, not just beverages.
Well, I think you're going to own that
category,
too.
And not just recreational.
You're going to be owning it, Rob, because you spent the money and you've got the share. That's Rob Sands, CEO of Constellation Brands. This stock is back. The company never left. Mad Money's back after the break. Booyah! Jim Cramer here from Mad Money. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube. Click here to subscribe and get the jump on my exclusives with CEOs, plus market news, investing advice, and a whole lot more.